right now, I want to talk a little LSU football because over the weekend, Hunt Palmer right here at LouisianaSports.net and the folks over at LSU Wire kind of put out a similar list. So for LSU Wire, it was 3 breakout players for LSU. Hunt put out 3 Tigers that could make all SEC. I'm like, okay, well, you got to break out to make all SEC. Those are kind of one and the same. I want to look at both lists, kind of break down the similarities and where they differ. We'll start with the LSU Wire article. They have Trey'dez Green. This makes sense. There's not many guys out there that are 6'7". He's an athletic freak. And a lot of people have said, okay, well, Bauer Sharp's coming in. It's a 2 tight end system. How is that going to affect Trey'dez Green? I think it helps Trey'dez Green a lot because Trey'dez is not going to be your 3-point stance, hand in the dirt, traditional tight end. He's not. I don't think he's ever going to be that. With Bauer Sharp in the game, you can run a 2 tight end set, have Bauer play your more traditional spot, and move Trey'dez Green out wide where he is an absolute matchup nightmare. However, if you were out there at spring practices, Bauer Sharp's versatile too. I mean, there were times where he was lined up at slot receiver, running slants. I mean, he's not your run-of-the-mill, just average everyday tight end as well. Bauer Sharp can move around. So the versatility of both of those guys, I think, is going to make for a great duo all season long. It makes so much sense that Trey'dez Green is on this list. The next pick is Tyree Adams, and I love this pick for obvious reasons. He's probably going to be your starting left tackle. Replacing Will Campbell is going to be a tough ask. I get that, but if you remember, Tyree Adams last season got hurt early in the year. And he's a guy that the coaching staff was high on. Like when he went down with an injury, Coach Kelly said, look, he may not be one of our starting 5, but it's a big-time injury because he's basically our 6th offensive lineman. I mean, if anybody goes down, they're going to do some rotating, and Tyree Adams is going to slide in there and be part of that starting offensive line. And that was an O-line with a lot of talent last year. They felt good enough about Tyree Adams then to be like, hey, he's our 6th guy. He's our swing man coming off the bench. This makes a ton of sense to me. All the talk in the offseason is going to be about the offensive line, and rightfully so. It's your biggest question mark. You have to replace Campbell and Emory Jones, guys that were bookend tackles for 3 years. You have to replace Garrett Dellinger, who played a ton of football. Miles Frazier came over and was really, really good for you when he transferred over from Florida International. I mean, he was a stable piece of that offensive line for multiple years. One of Brian Kelly's first big-time transfers that he brought over, like obviously outside of Jaden Daniels, but Miles Frazier made a big impact on this team. The only one you have coming back is DJ Chester, and that's where they go next. They say DJ Chester is going to have to break out. I get the versatility. I'm not sure if anyone would consider him a breakout player, though, in 2025. He's the guy you're the most sure about on the offensive line. He's the guy that when you look and you say, okay, whether it's guard, whether it's center, DJ Chester's going to fit somewhere on this offensive line. And I know everyone's going to say, oh, he wasn't great at center. Okay, that's fine. If you want to move him to guard, he was pretty good after the snap. You got to get the snap corrected if he is indeed going to play center. But after the snap, he was actually pretty good. And you need some sort of stability, some sort of leadership on the offensive line. I expect that to be DJ Chester. He's the only returning starter from a year ago. He's that steady presence. More than anyone on the offensive line, you need DJ Chester to be that steady presence. I think he's going to be that. And I get where they're going with this in terms of hey, these are guys you need to make a big impact. I'm not considering DJ Chester a breakout player just because I think I have a pretty good idea in knowing what we're going to get from DJ Chester. A solid offensive lineman that can be versatile, that can play both guard spots and center. And he's going to start somewhere on your offensive line. I know what I'm getting with DJ Chester. Going back to Tyree Adams, that one makes a lot more sense because he's a little bit more of an X factor. One, he's going to have to play left tackle in all likelihood, blocking Garrett Nussmeier's blind side, which is super important. And he got some starts last season. He played well in the bowl game, but he has not been an everyday, every down SEC player. And he's going to have to do that on a team that has championship aspirations, on an offense that has a ton of weapons at skill position, but everyone's looking at that offensive line for someone to step up. Why can't it be Tyree Adams? As far as our guy Hunt Palmer at LouisianaSports.net, Hunt puts out 3 Tigers that could make all SEC. He also mentions Trey'dez Green. Again, for the obvious reason, Trey'dez is going to be a matchup nightmare. You saw it in the bowl game. When Mason Taylor didn't play in the bowl game, you saw Trey'dez Green make a big impact. Called 2 touchdown passes in that game. and he was all over the field. He lined up at your traditional spot. He lined up in the slot. He even lined up out wide on some plays. I think in that bowl game, you saw a sneak peek of how Trey'dez Green is going to be used this year. And it was actually more predictable what he was going to do in the bowl game because you didn't really have another tight end. Again, going back to Bauer Sharp. With Bauer Sharp in the game next to Trey'dez Green, it makes everything a lot more confusing. Because, like, everyone's going to say, okay, well, Bauer's going to play the traditional tight end spot. That moves Trey'dez Green out wide. Why can't they flip it? Because I promise you, Bauer Sharp is more athletic and more versatile than a lot of people think. You don't know who's going to line up where. That's what makes him so dangerous. Adding to the fact that he's an athletic freak at 6'7". That helps as well. The next name on this list, Hunt Palmer mentions Patrick Payton. I love this pick. He was very productive at Florida State. He is your most experienced pass rusher coming into the season. You want Jack Pyburn to become a pass rusher. Jack Pyburn came to LSU to be an every down player and a third down pass rusher. When you go look at Florida, overall his numbers were productive. He didn't rush the passer a ton. So while he's going to be on the edge and you think he's a sure tackler, he's a guy that's going to play hard for you like he did at Florida, you don't really know what he's going to do off the edge on third down pass rush situations. Same could be said with Jamari Butler. A little more so than Jack Pyburn. He's a little bit more proven as a pass rusher, but numbers-wise, I mean, Patrick Payton, by far the most productive transfer you brought in terms of guys that are going to rush the passer. And he's lean. He's 6'5", only about 220 pounds, but he can get around that edge. He's a fast guy. This makes sense. There was a mock draft about a couple months ago that came out, an early one, and like you don't look at mock drafts that early, but the point was they had 2 LSU players going in the first round. Garrett Nussmeier, who was going in the top 10, and then borderline first-round pick was Patrick Payton. That's what scouts think of him. That's the kind of impact some believe he could have on this team. Because I think the secondary is better. I really do. Pickett's coming in. Ashton Stamps is in his 3rd year. You bring over Mansour Delane, Jakeem Jackson. You got 2 really, really productive players in Tamarcus Cooley and A.J. Halsey back there at safety. But every secondary, good, bad, somewhere in between, needs help from the pass rush. You have to get after the passer. Because that quarterback stands back there 4 or 5 seconds. He's going to pick apart the defense because eventually it doesn't matter how good your secondary is. Somebody's going to sneak open and the quarterback's going to find them because they're in a clean pocket. You have to have a pass rush. I think Patrick Payton can be that guy. Now, LSU's going to rotate a lot. I mean, I mentioned Butler. I mentioned Pyburn. Don't forget Gabriel Relaford, who showed some flashes a year ago. All of these guys are going to rotate, but I think when you need if you're in the Clemson game, you need somebody to get in there, rush the passer on third down in a big moment. Patrick Payton's getting the first crack at it. No question about it. Can he be this year's Braden Swinson? Remember the jump Swinson made year 1 to year 2 when he was under Kevin Peoples. Last year, Peoples came in after following Blake Baker from Missouri, and Braden Swinson was excellent. I mean, at the halfway point of the season, Braden Swinson was leading the SEC in sacks. Braden Swinson can play football. I think Patrick Payton can do the same thing. Because you're replacing Swinson on one side and Savion Jones on the other, who wasn't quite the elite pass rusher that Swinson was a year ago, but Savion Jones was a really good player. You have both of your edge positions that need to be filled. Now you have 4 guys to take 2 spots. I think that's fine. I didn't even mention Damian Shanklin, who's coming in as a freshman. I think LSU did a really good job at the edge rusher spot, but maybe none bigger than Patrick Payton. The last name Hunt puts on this list, DJ Pickett, the 5-star true freshman cornerback. This pick is certainly based on potential, obviously, because he hasn't played a ton, but look, he has a ton of size. He's got the speed. He's about 6'3". DJ Pickett has the body to play corner or safety. I prefer to put him at corner. I think that's where he could have the biggest impact, at least on this year's team. Everyone expects him to be the next great Tigers DB. You have Corey Raymond back in the fold. If anybody can get it out of him, it's Corey Raymond. I'm not sure how much DJ Pickett's going to play this year. I would love, part of me wants a DJ Pickett to come in, prove he's the best player right away and play. Part of me doesn't want DJ Pickett to play at all because you're not having to rely on a freshman. You hit on the transfers that you brought in. Your older guys that have been in the program for a number of years, they've stepped up as well. I get the pick. I don't hate it at all. DJ Pickett is a great selection. But is there anybody else being overlooked? As far as a breakout player next year, I would love for it to be Ashton Stamps. So I'm going to go corner, but a little bit different. He's your most experienced DB at LSU. because he didn't start as a freshman, or at least not most of the year, but he played in a lot of games and started towards the end of the year. If you remember, you were so beat up that year that kind of 2/3 through the season, you had JV and Toviano on one side, Ashton Stamps on the other, and you just kind of threw him in the fire. Performed well. Last year, he was a solid piece. Got overlooked a little bit because of the excellence that was Zy Alexander on the other side, but he showed promise. He took a step. He took a step from year 1 to year 2. It was a solid corner for you last year. Can he take another step? Can he be an elite player? Can he be the leader of that secondary group? He's essentially entering his 3rd year as a starter. Because, again, he played a ton as a freshman, was your starter all last season, comes in again this year. I'm hoping Ashton Stamps can lock down one of those cornerback spots. Like in an ideal world, Stamps has one side locked down. You have Mansour Delane, Jakeem Jackson, and DJ Pickett all fighting for the other spot because Stamps has been that good in camp. That is my hope. That should be every LSU fan's hope. Speaking of, like, you have Mansour Delane on the other side, and a lot of people expect him to be a stud. I get it. He was really good at Virginia Tech. A lot of people said he could play corner and safety. But he'll have to adjust to the SEC. Jakeem Jackson hasn't played a ton at Florida due to injury. DJ Pickett's a freshman. Ashton Stamps, like, for better or worse, is kind of that known commodity at this point. If he can lock down one side, it'll help settle down that other corner spot. You could go to Delane and be like, oh, Stamps will help you on the other side. If he's not working out, hey, let's throw in DJ Pickett, see what he's got. Let's give Jakeem Jackson a shot. But if you can lock down one side of your defense, that'll help everything else. And I think there's potential that Ashton Stamps could maybe be that guy. Like, you look, he doesn't have an interception in his 2 years playing here, but he had 14 passes defended last season. He was better than a lot of people think. And I get it. There were times where he got beat. There were times last year that everybody on the defense got beat. That's why it was shaky. I think that's going to improve this year. It's his 2nd year under Raymond. It's his 2nd year in the Blake Baker defense. Like, Ashton Stamps is a guy that I'm personally keeping an eye on. Maybe could be that breakout player for LSU's defense, obviously, at a very important position.